Hello and welcome to Talking Wrestling with Palm Water Dave, the WrestleMania 40 Kickoff post-game show. Joining me tonight is my good friend Mike Page. Mike, how are you?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm not even sure what I just saw.
I tell you right off the bat, CM Punk has never, ever popped me as hard as he popped me at the end of that press conference. I may actually change my opinion of CM Punk because CM Punk said if my boss, he just flat out said if my boss slapped me, I'm gonna punch him in the face. And we know,
We know.
that's not hyperbole. He's done it. I mean, he may not be able to fight for real very well in the octagon, but he will stand up for himself, and I'm gonna give him props for that.
Oh
That might have
yeah.
been. I didn't see CM Punk coming in hot at the end like that. And Big E was made some really good points at the end about that The Rock is tight. I mean, The Rock is one of the bosses. He's on the board, and he's tight with Nick Khan. And he gave Triple H a pretty good talking to on his way out. And unfortunately, YouTube they edited so much of it, I couldn't read the lips. But
that Rock slap was kind of girly, though.
Kinda.
Did they work themselves into a shoot, or did they shoot themselves into a work?
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna tell you, I thought the Bloodline poster was pretty cool, and I never associated Gary Albright with them, and I saw him.
I remember he was married to somebody in there.
Okay, I'm gonna download that. I'm sure they'll post that, and I'll be able to go over it. I thought that the Bloodline tree was pretty neat. So
yeah, we showed even the Jacob Faku, Lance Anoy, all those that aren't even in the WWE were all listed in there.
Yeah, they acknowledged Trinity Fatu, who's Naomi, and I like how they did it. I'm gonna give a shout out to Dropkick Leather, posting up right behind Pat McAfee. Dropkick Leather does incredible leather. I mean, he does some really innovative leather for belts, and how he managed to get himself positioned with two of his belts. And when I say he does leather, I mean he does the carvings in the leather, multi-leveled leathering. And so when I saw him, and I recognized his work immediately, and then saw that he actually had his logo on what he was wearing. I liked it kind of felt like College Game Day at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
The way they were standing up and had people standing behind them. If it was designed to get you excited for WrestleMania, I think it was a success.
Oh yeah, and all the press is there for Super Bowl. I mean, the timing was perfect.
Yeah,
I thought they were now Super Bowl or WrestleMania in Vegas for next year.
Yeah, it was genius how they pulled that off. I don't know if just because everybody happened to be in Vegas for Super Bowl and they made it that way, or it just I just thought it all came together well. I think that the panel was good. I think that was the right four. I liked how The Rock was on stage mean mugging Punk when Punk was talking about him. If you want to call it a work shoot, it was impressive.
They blurred the lines no matter what.
Yes, and if The Rock acted that well on camera, I'm not going to kick him because I'm a huge fan of. He's always really good in his movies. He's the same guy in all of his movies, but he's good.
I like Triple H being interviewed, Rock walking out saying he did. I mean, the timing was perfect. Camera was there. I love Triple H saying, guys going into business for themselves. They really blurred the lines there.
Oh, they did. Well, I mean, that's what I was saying about Big E. I mean, he pulled the curtain all the way back. But I mean, maybe this new era of WWE they're not going to treat the fans like they're stupid. I mean, it's not so much treating them like they're stupid. Maybe they're giving them more credit for knowing more than what they know. Um, I think that I think Triple H, Triple H came out and did his thing, and basically laid the groundwork. I really popped for the clips of WrestleMania. I remember watching WrestleMania 1. I watched it at home. It's essentially probably the first pay-per-view I got. It was different because I had to go to the cable company and pay for it and put a deposit down on a box that I took to the house and had to hook into my cable to actually watch it. And then I had to return the box to get my deposit back on it.
Wow.
I remember watching, and I do remember me and Ike watching WrestleMania, and it was a spectacle. I can to this. I mean, anytime I see Muhammad Ali, I get emotional, but the highlight of all the celebrity appearances at WrestleMania was when Liberace stood up and he rang the bell. He was the bell. Instead of ringing their bell, he had like a little crystal bell and he rang it, and that was 40 years ago. So
wow, yeah.
That's something that WrestleMania moments burn into your brain forever. I
mean,
did that.
They said it right. It's like what started as a regional promotion, one show at Madison Square Garden, we won't talk about the specifics and, what happened to it. It's now, but it's grown into a billion-dollar global corporation.
Yeah. I mean, and he named off everybody he named off legitimate superstars and omitted himself. His name is just as important as all of them that he named. I liked early in the show when they went to Paul Heyman. They had Byron in there with Paul Heyman, and of course the mood, and Paul Heyman does Paul Heyman so well. And I think what they managed to do with that promo is he said that it doesn't matter if it's Cody, it doesn't matter if it's The Rock, because they're coming for Roman. Roman is the main event. So it didn't matter about those two. Those two are interchangeable, but Roman is the constant. So they laid down early in this kickoff that subtly placed how important that Roman is the prize.
Right.
And old guys like me and you that come from that era of the title has to be defended every 30 days. And we don't like the part-timers that Cody could have just easily said, hell, Rock, you show up more than Roman. He could have said that. I talked over you. What did you say?
Yeah, Seth made it out. As neither of you guys have been here much the last 2 years. Finally you showed up for work. It's just, they were pulling that all the stops there.
Yeah, Seth. If I wanted to be critical of anything tonight, it was that you left Seth out there on an island, and then he was just kind of in the mix.
And it's you're picking teams for a basketball game, and he's the last kid picked.
Right. And nobody's calling attention. Nobody's calling attention that he's got one leg.
Right.
Personally, put Punk against one arm versus one leg.
Elimination Chamber now has meaning. The winner of Elimination Chamber will get to face Seth. So they've just elevated Elimination Chamber and gave Seth something to do.
Right. And you'll have LA Knight in there, I'm sure. You'll have Drew McIntyre in there, I'm sure. Who else?
Yeah, so now it seems that, Rock's doing his family thing. I know the odds are super slim, but we've seen stranger things have happened. They need to call TK and get Dustin over there for Mania.
Well, I've seen. Oh yeah, it would be nice. I've seen. Yeah, it's funny how y'all sit there and you'll talk to Cody about his family, but as soon as he says something about yours, you got a problem. But in my life, I've seen my dad and my uncle going at it. And I saw somebody that was watching try to take sides and get in it. And then I saw my dad and uncle immediately turn against that person. And that's what they did. Like Rock and Roman had their thing. But as soon as Cody crapped on their family, and he didn't really crap on their family, but he invoked their family, they both bonded and were against Cody. And The Rock was really imposing when he walked up on Cody. There's a huge size difference there. I had forgotten how big The Rock is. He's apparently, I'll say it. I don't think that TKO has the wellness program in place because there's a lot of buff wrestlers on the roster right now. And I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. It's a cosmetic sport. You can't get a chemical advantage. If they're all taking HGH for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I could care less. I encourage it because it doesn't give them a competitive advantage because it's a work at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, I mean, I agree with that. It's just we don't know what kind of schedule Rock has, because he's got XFL coming up, and he has his movies, which with the Screen Actors Guild and all that, they weren't filming and everything for a while. So who knows? Does he even have the time to get in shape to wrestle, or be there every single week, which you need to do to Mania? I mean, he can show up here and there, but he can't devote that whole time for Mania.
I think he's there. I think he's there because he has a financial stake in being there. And I'd say the road to WrestleMania is a huge, huge. What would you call it that influences the stock price?
Well,
I mean,
until
he's
today,
got a direct.
Every that announcement, TKO stock has been up. It dropped today, but it was up for 3 straight days after that announcement Friday. So, yeah. But Conrad made a good point. It's sold out already, but you still got all this merchandise that you can still do. Even if it's The Rock, it's this, or I could see this. Don't F with family. Rock Roman T-shirt. They'll sell thousands of those.
I'm going to tell you what's going to be the new T-shirt is Mommy's going to be a bottom. Rhea said, "Mommy always comes out on top," and Becky said, "Mama."
Oh God, that was great.
Mommy's going to be a bottom when the man. That's what happens when the man comes around. How great was that?
I mean, you said that Mommy's always on top.
I mean, Bianca came out.
It's going to be out.
What's that?
Rhea's going to end up being a huge face when it's all said and done.
Oh, she already is.
Yeah.
I think Rhea's a lot like Stone Cold. She doesn't have to wrestle like a face, but she's going to get. I mean, she's a cool heel, and Bianca came out early and she did her, recapped her incredible run that she's had 3 WrestleManias in a row, not coming in as champion this time. And she'll have to work her way in on the Elimination Chamber. But I think Becky Lynch has different plans for that.
What about Bayley not being there?
Well, Bayley's picked who she's going for, so.
True. But I mean, it's a kick. I guess they could have, said something, but.
Well, I think that they tried to keep it in an hour also. You couldn't have everybody. And Becky came out and interrupted her and told her that she'd never been in an Elimination Chamber, so she was going to be, and she even told her, you got to get past Nia Jax. And I think that Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley is going to be an incredible match. I think Nia Jax has been doing really good work lately. She looks great.
Yeah, Rhea can carry her through her faults.
Yeah. Yeah.
It won't be a bad match. It's not intending to be a 5-star Will Ospreay classic. It's intended to be some girls go at it.
But Nia Jax is having better matches than she's ever had, and she's in the best shape she's ever been in. I saw her in person a few weeks ago. I mean, she is really she's come a long way. and she was in her match that she had that night. She worked against a much smaller opponent, but it was a
They're having
very,
to do a lot of house show matches to really get better.
yeah. She worked with the come on, help me out. She's the woman that's the woman that's with the twins, the twin tag team. Not Ivy now.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, Ivy is so much smaller than Nia Jax, and they told a good story that night, though. I thought it was a very entertaining match.
Ivy is good. She didn't get enough matches in NXT, but she's actually pretty good.
She is, and then Rhea was out talking about all of it, and Becky interrupted, and I thought that was very entertaining. And again, I touched on telling her she's going to learn how to be a bottom, because that's what happens when the man comes around. Was that was one of the highlights. That's a high spot right there. Then we had
I like after Seth told Roman he finally came to work, Roman fired back with yeah, and you wore your wife's shoes. I mean, it's like they fired it back so fast. That was funny.
Yes. I didn't expect Roman to come out when he came out. And so that was interesting. And then The Rock with his whole, I don't know if he's trying to pay homage to Ric Flair with whether you like it or you don't like it.
Oh yeah.
They've mentioned Ric Flair tonight. They didn't ignore. I mean, other than Vince McMahon, they did not ignore their past.
No, I mean, Bianca said she beat Sasha. And we all know Sasha's going to AEW. I think it's just we don't care anymore, because even Rhea said I'm the most dominant champion in any company.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's
why act like they don't exist?
Companies.
And
now we've said, we know TNA exists. There's other companies out there that's something that the old WWE didn't acknowledge.
Hey, it's not really what we were going to talk about tonight, but with the news of Scott D'Amore being fired from TNA, do you think that it's possible that they're cleaning house to move that property to sell it to WWE?
That's very interesting, because you already know that TNA's app is on Endeavor's, platform. And after what Meltzer said today, and I don't like to give Meltzer any credit, he said that D'Amore was trying to spend more, and they wanted to keep the same budget. Now, see, they're not a wrestling company. They're a content company, just like ROH was with Sinclair. All their job is to do is put on some shows to TV stations.
Right.
So they don't care about the wrestling as much. So they didn't want to spend any more than what their budget. D'Amore cares about wrestling. They say he's already independently wealthy, so making more money wasn't his thing. But he wanted to bring in the Nemesis. He wanted to bring in the Dana Brooks. He wanted to bring in to boost it. And TNA had a boost. TNA is growing. There's a lot of buzz around it. And I guess they just wanted to keep the costs the same.
Yeah. Scott D'Amore knocked he knocked the stink off of it. He knocked the stink off of it. And it'd be a hell of a, but the content alone, let's not ignore that this company's been around for 20 years. And there is some great content, and there's lots of great superstars over the years. I mean, if you got AJ Styles wrestling for you, and you can go back and get really the origin and growth of AJ Styles. You, of course, then they'd go the years with the Main Event Mafia. You've got some Scott Hall in there. You got Dusty Rhodes there.
Mick Foley, Hulk.
I mean, it's been a who's who go through there. Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle had a better career there than he did in WWE. And
debatable, but yeah.
So,
and they've made some good. They had the best women's division for many years.
They took the women serious before anybody else did.
Yes.
Coach Keith Morrison's with us, and he said that press conference was better than he thought. I agree with you, Coach, and I don't really think it was a press conference, though. I think it was a
hype show.
Man, it was like a weigh-in without the scales. It was definitely it hyped up. I liked it. I don't know.
Exactly. Like TKO's day before weigh-in without the scales, like you said. I mean, it just has UFC written all over it.
And I love it. I was here for it. I was actually entertained. It was kind of like at first I was going to watch it so we could react to it and do a little bonus content tonight. But I was into it. I was into it big time. I thought it was a very, very, very good presentation. A lot went into it. Heavily sponsored, by the way. I mean, they do it. They do it, and they do it. They do content right. Then they brought The Rock out, and Cody.
The fans didn't like it from the get-go.
Cody didn't get his music. Cody just walked out and said, "Hey guys, this is bullshit."
I love it. I mean, because that's what that started the lines blurring. It wasn't supposed to happen that way, and that's what I liked about it.
I mean, he allow me to reintroduce myself. I won the Royal Rumble. I won it.
It's my choice.
It's my choice, and I want Roman. And I mean, now and they were talking him down. Go over there, and the thing is, I think that you can try to downplay Seth's title all you want to, but Seth's defended his title more since he got it. I mean, he's got half as many title defenses as Roman in a year than Roman's got in 3.5 years.
Right. I don't care about the days. I like how New Japan does it. This is your 12th defense. This is your 10th defense. Who cares how many days you held it?
Exactly. And I thought, and I've said it before, you go back to the summer of Cena. Cena came in, had the U.S. title, made the U.S. title. The U.S. title was the belt in WWE when Cena had it that summer.
Yeah.
And Seth Rollins has done, and Gunther's done the same thing with the Intercontinental title. And now, and Seth has done it with the World Heavyweight title.
Yeah, the Raw title, crazy. They're so defended.
And hey, if y'all want to talk about the lineage going back to Bruno Sammartino on Roman's belt, yeah, let's go ahead. Bruno Sammartino, Pedro Morales, Superstar Billy Graham, Ivan Koloff,
Iron Sheik,
Bob Backlund. Yeah, but you know what it was? It was a regional championship. It was the New York State Championship. I mean, it was the East Coast Championship. It was not. They were a member of the NWA. The NWA, the WWF Championship, was recognized by the NWA. Vince McMahon Sr., or Vince's dad, was a board member of the NWA. He was on the board at the NWA. So that title that Seth has, if you're talking about lineage, goes back to a title that was held and defended around the world by men like Harley Race and Terry Funk and Dory Funk and Jack Briscoe and Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes.
Buddy Rogers.
Exactly. Who also held the WWF title. So, I mean, you're talking about lineages. You talk about lineages. I would have liked to seen Seth fight back about his. I mean, it's funny. Everybody talked about Roman coming out and saying that Seth's title was the loser bracket and I beat everybody for it and all that. But nobody really jumped on what Seth said about his being the workhorse champion. I show up, I'm there, I work. And that's how it was. Yes, sir. Buddy Rogers had both. Whoops, I hit the microphone. Sorry about that. I hope I didn't blow everybody's ears out. Jason Souls that Buddy had both. Welcome. I'm glad you're here tonight, Jason. But
yeah, I mean, it's so hard to tell because, they brought in, when they had the big goal and then Jericho won the Undisputed and then they had the Universal. I mean, there's been so many splits there's no true line. I mean, I guess the WWE Championship is probably that lineage as far as going back to, Hogan and Sheik and them. But I mean, you really want to get technical. That lineage is split up more than that bloodline family tree.
Right. And but I loved it. I loved how when all that started going, then you had the officials out. I mean, they had all the officials. You had Nick Aldis, you had Adam Pearce, you had Triple H.
Nick Aldis.
Yeah, they were there and ready to keep them apart. And then you could see the switch flip when Cody invoked the High Chief, Peter Maivia. And The Rock, all of a sudden, it was 2 against 1 there. And it felt tense. It felt real. And it makes you wonder where it's going. Now, I can't wait now. And it's been years since I cared about what was coming. And that was brilliant how they did it. And at one point I looked, they had 200,000 people watching on YouTube. 200,000 viewers. And and I'm not crapping on AEW when I say this, but I think 300,000 watch Collision and Rampage. They arrange around 300,000 viewers. And for a YouTube channel, I mean, because I could watch on YouTube and see how many people were actually watching, and I was watching it get up, and it was right at 199,000 the last time I looked at it.
That's not even counting Peacock either.
Did they show it on Peacock?
That's where I watched it, on Peacock.
I watched it on YouTube. So I mean, legitimately, there was probably more eyeballs on it that watch. It probably did Raw numbers. So
I mean, it gave something for people to talk about. What I like too, though, is we all know Seth and Cody have their past, and they've made it clear that they're not friends backstage and everything. But then Seth defended Cody at the end. So it's like, wow, I mean, you got a lot of battle lines drawn here too. And Seth can really play out being pissed off. The CM Punk thing, whether it's a work or shoot, or then this and that, it's like, he even makes it, he's believable that he's pissed off about shit.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see CM Punk going around saying, I mean, it's like Jason just said, personal issues draw money. It's going to be interesting. How many years have we just wanted them to do that? How many years as fans if you're watching me, you're probably an old school fan. So we all wanted this, and it does. And Seth and CM Punk, they keep it up. You don't hear CM Punk goes, I really do like him, and his kid's cute, and I give him a hard time about his wife. No, you don't. He's like, I don't like the guy. He talks about how much he hates me. I don't like him either. And it's just and circling back around one more time to CM Punk saying, if my boss slaps me, I'm gonna punch him in the face. That's a callback, because we know that is a shoot. He will do it. But maybe he ought to go against Seth, because you could have the one-arm man go against the one-leg man.
Yeah. One thing was funny, though, back when I booked for ACW in Marshall, Byron and Chris Katera had got into it at a show like the week before. They're at my show in Marshall. I booked them against each other. Man, I'm telling you, I got the best freaking match out of that. And after they walked out, they were cool with each other. It's like real stuff works. Like they said, personal issues draw money.
I hadn't seen Chris Katera in years.
I see him around. I mean, he's in my area too, so he's over there in Longview, and we talk all the time and stuff.
That's a blast from the past there. Our stuff with the medics is showing up in my timeline.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is the time of year. I think we just had our. We're coming up on our 14th year as SPW Tag Team Champions. Because Roman's. I mean, we don't have to defend them. Roman's proven that we don't have to defend the belt to still be champions.
Our boy Russ just texted us saying that he says The Rock's going to swerve Roman. What do you think about that?
I don't think so. And I'm gonna tell you, I think that Rock is the new Mr. McMahon. He's on the board. He's gonna flex it. He's gonna make Cody's gonna win, and he's gonna make Cody's life a living hell going forward. And then you're gonna finally get Cody and The Rock in the ring together.
Well, what do you think? I don't know. I mean, I could see it where something happens and Rock comes out and accidentally hits Roman, or Roman accidentally hits Rock or something, because no matter what, the end game is going to be Rock and Roman somehow.
Eventually. But I think there's going to be some tension, because Roman can say he's the head of the table, but if Rock's on the board of directors, he's at the table.
I like
how he said, y'all are worried about who the head of the table is, and neither one of y'all
cooked in 2 years. That's probably.
It was good. I've enjoyed this tonight. It was really good, and I mean, the fan in me needs this occasionally. And
so, one question I have to ask, because this is part of what the show was about tonight. Everybody says, when Rock got on board, this and this, and some of it's been planned. Do you think this was planned all along, or do you think it went sideways and then they tried to play damage control, or what? Or both?
I think the whole thing's a work. I think it's a well done work. Because it's already happened. It's happened too many times in the past for them to not know how it was going to be received.
Well, I'm wondering, on SmackDown, Rock whispered something in Cody's ear and he smiled. Did he say something like, watch all these jabroni marks lose their shit for the next week? Did he say something like that and make Cody pop?
Well, did you see The Rock on Pat McAfee today?
I just saw bits and pieces.
I mean, he did. He goes, and he didn't say that it was kids doing it. He said it was grown ass men with the "We Want Cody." And hey, I posted a picture of me and my family with Cody and put "We Want Cody." I'm "We Want Cody," and but he said they would like eat a chicken nugget and type "We want Cody, we want Cody," and then he'd stop and eat another chicken nugget and put 2 of them in his mouth this time, and "We want Cody." And then the kid says, "Dad, can we go outside and play ball?" "Not right now. I've got to type. We want Cody. We want Cody. Da, 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 da. I'm a Cody crybaby." And then, Cody crybaby is going to be a thing too. And then he said the wife comes in and wants him to come to bed and make love to her, and he goes, "I can't do that right now because I've got to type. We want Cody." Oh. And then he went, "If you smell," and he goes, "and that's wrestling." And it was kind of neat how he did it, and he popped Pat McAfee. And
I like how no matter who knew or what, everybody played it right. Cody posted, "Trust me." Brandy posted, "He's the quarterback." Because I could see, hey, you know what happened when Matt Hardy gets screwed? Matt Hardy's wife goes ape shit on Twitter. So I mean. I like how everybody played their part just right.
Yeah, I mean, Tony Schiavone has always said that he believes everything's a work, everything. And I don't think that they could have possibly known. I don't think they could have possibly thought that bringing The Rock in. I mean, we've all wanted that match for so long, but now to finish the story. It's going to be.
And I know they wanted to finish the Roman Rock story too, but they haven't been invested in that story for the last year.
But I'm not sure that we're not going to get. I'm not sure that we're not going to get Cody and Roman on that one, and get a tag team match on that too. Because it looked like.
I don't know what night 1, night 2, what's going to happen. I mean, it's still questionable what exactly is going to go down.
Yeah. I mean, they had it set up for a tag team match. And even, I think even Big E said, "Are we getting a tag match now?" And you don't normally have your panel calling things like that which, depending on how you look at it, half empty, half full. Are they giving ideas, or are they poking holes in the story by pointing out, now you made it look like a tag match? It was
Well,
dealt with like a real life situation. It was refreshing, and you can mark it down on February 8th of 2024 that I'm excited to be a wrestling fan right at this moment.
what about this? What if they do that tag match on night one and really throw a loophole in the story and injure Cody on night one? So we're not even sure if Cody's going to make it to night two to add
Man,
more drama.
I need Cody to not have to be. I mean, he won a match with a torn pec. I don't need to see Cody hurt. I need to see Cody come in and just. I mean,
You don't want to. I mean, this is just like his dad.
It's bad enough that we can't have Jacob.
Against,
I was hoping that Jacob Fatu would show up and be the next guy that interferes, but it looks like it's going to be The Rock. It's going to be the next guy in the bloodline that interferes in a match.
Yeah.
There's got to be something to counter it. Where does this leave? So let's talk about before we get out of here. Let's talk about the U.S. title and the Intercontinental title.
Sure.
Logan Paul will be defending the U.S. title. Are we thinking it's going to be? Are we thinking it's going to be LA Knight?
Died this week on SmackDown, right? On SmackDown this week, Nick Aldis said that he's going to determine who's going to face Logan Paul next.
Oh, I would think that. Oh, so it won't be anybody that's in the Elimination Chamber.
I don't know. It didn't say when that match would be, so he could. I don't know if Logan Paul will be in Elimination Chamber, but we do know every title will get defended at Mania.
Well, LA Knight's going to be in the Elimination Chamber. I would imagine LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, or maybe LA Knight won't be in the Elimination Chamber. Maybe he'll be the one. Maybe he'll be the one going for the U.S. title. I'm just trying to think who else they got that would be a good match for Logan Paul. And then Gunther. What if Gunther?
I think we may see Drew McIntyre versus Seth at Mania.
I'll be interested to see if Gunther's going to be in the Elimination Chamber.
See, I wouldn't mind seeing Seth and Gunther go at it.
I would too, and then you have that shot at the end with Gunther holding the Intercontinental title and the World title. Because I've said all along that I thought Gunther should have been the one to end Roman's streak, just like the Warrior did Hogan.
Yeah, but I think that title would be, Gunther one champion and Cody the other champion could do good business.
And back to what you said about, do I think this was planned all along, or did they pivot? They did have the YouTube video that got the most dislikes of any video they ever had, to the point where they turned off the dislikes. Then they re-edited the video where you don't see Cody walking up the ramp. So they did a lot of video editing and to remove the dislikes. So, but don't you just love it when you don't know for sure?
Yeah, of course, they're not getting as many listeners as we are, but Conrad and Eric Bischoff are talking about the same thing right now, but they probably have 10% of what we got listeners right now. But people are going to say, did Conrad know this all along and he was just throwing fuel on the fire? People are going to say that no matter what.
I will tell you, as Conrad Thompson's friend, that he 100% did not know. He was 100% pissed off that this had happened. And he was even to the point where he was making excuses for The Rock, that he knows The Rock doesn't sit at home and watch the programming. So he probably had no idea about the story with Cody, that's where they were going. He probably, because he's so busy that he probably doesn't watch the product. And the last time he saw Cody Rhodes, he was wearing Stardust makeup. So I don't know.
Yeah, I thought, and he made Conrad. You can obviously tell he was pissed off so bad Friday night. But then Saturday he came back out with lots of good reasoning behind his pissed offness, and he made a lot of great points.
Oh man, and the internet trolls went after him. Do you know that there's a guy that was blaming Conrad because of Conrad's stance? That's why The Rock's daughter got death threats, because Conrad knew what he was doing, and he knows how wrestling fans are, and he wound them up because he knows that some of them go unhinged, and he wound them up and turned them loose, and they went after The Rock's daughter. That was a real thing.
Yeah, Disco Inferno got involved, and he was just, and all he does is instigate shit for both sides. Mostly, he's like, this and this and that. It's just, and Conrad was talking, it was funny, but Conrad might get 20, 30 comments on a post. He was getting hundreds of them on some of his posts. They were just going, calling him crybaby and everything. I was just like, my Disco. God,
I get tickled at Disco because he knows how to work everybody up. And
I like Disco. People just say, "Oh, you were a jobber and you were this, you sucked," and Big Show farted on you. I was like, "Hey, he was getting seen by millions and millions in the hottest
there
part
is
of
not
wrestling."
An active professional wrestler today that will ever have the audience. They will never have on one night as many eyes as Disco Inferno had on him when he was on Nitro. Because you had over 6 million people. You had over 6 million people watching. Those numbers are never going to happen again.
Nope.
So,
and he knows what he's talking about. He's one of those ones that likes to rile fans up, and he
does
works.
A great job of it.
Yeah, it's like if you know anything about Glenn, he's like one of the nicest guys in the world too.
And
I've talked to him a lot,
and I always loved the gimmick. I always loved the Disco Inferno gimmick.
Dude, he knows he wasn't out there. He wasn't supposed to be Will Ospreay. He was a comedy relief. He was supposed to be a rip-off John Travolta. He knew his job. He knew he was never going to get past TV title. He was a solid mid-carder who made good money in the hottest era of wrestling ever.
He was prominently featured every week. And when they let him, he had really good matches. I mean, I think he had a match for the television title or
he held the television title and the cruiserweight title. He held the TV title for a while. So, I mean, he had the time, and him and Alex Wright had a little fun run,
Yeah. Well, we're all over the board now. So we got, who do you think is going to come out of you think Becky's going to come out of the Elimination Chamber? Or do you think that because they telegraphed it on the kickoff that it'll go a different way?
Right. So, I mean, we're going to see who's going to fight Rhea, and we're going to see who will probably fight Seth. Probably the top scenarios out of eliminate. I want to say they made it so much like Bianca or Becky that makes me think it's going to be somebody like Liv Morgan instead. I could see them doing that. But I do see Drew McIntyre being the one to face Seth, even though I'd like it to be Gunther.
I kind of feel like you're right there, but Gunther would be my pick.
But it's going to be so weird because you still see that story. Of course, who believes all the dirt sheets, but they're saying that Drew's contract's up after Mania. So, I mean, are they trying to throw him in a big match hoping he'll re-sign, or what's the story there? Yeah. I'd like to see him stay and then win that title. Because I would like to see Drew go at it.
Yeah. I'm not anti-AEW. But I think at this point, where's Drew going to go? I don't know that Impact looks as good today as it did yesterday. Before Scott D'Amore got fired, I don't know how that shakes out.
They've got, like I said, they've got a lot of talent.
He'll get lost in the sauce in AEW.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. It's like, Camille's, is a free agent. It's like, hey. You got Deanna that just showed up in AEW. We already know that Sasha's going to be there. It's like, look what happened to Jay White. And I'm not, trying to go off guard. It's like, you can't have so many people in that thing. They have a lot of talent on.
How does a talent like Jay White get lost in the sauce?
I mean, he fought for the title, and now he's in a a six-man, double six-man bang bang gang. Come on. And
How
I
is
like
Jay
all
White? And you're in a company where there's so many titles. How is Jay White not your TNT champion? How is Jay White not your whatever they're calling Orange Cassidy's belt now?
he's an ROH six-man champion right now. That's almost as bad as making Okada the never open weight six-man champion before he left. It's like that, in my opinion, is, well, you didn't win the big title. We're going to give you this consolation
let's
prize.
talk about Okada. Let's talk about Okada, because that could throw a wrench in everything for WrestleMania. What if Okada is a surprise entrant in the Elimination Chamber and he gets Seth Rollins for WrestleMania? I wouldn't hate it.
I wouldn't hate it, but it's like I've been hearing, is he going to NXT? And they've been showing these vignettes on NXT about a man with three faces, and now it's a mystery person coming in. Could that be Okada? Are they going to stick him in NXT first like they did Shinsuke? If he even signs with WWE. Again, I think overall, like Meltzer says, he wants to make the most money. He'll probably go to AEW, which I still don't believe that. If he wants to be a long-term bigger star, go to WWE. My thing is, again, AEW fans are going to know who Okada is more than WWE fans. But again,
I think you're selling them short. They knew who AJ Styles was. They knew who AJ Styles was. And Okada, hey, Okada versus Gunther.
Wow. Well, Gunther's been talking about Okada. Why would he just talk about Okada?
I didn't hear him talk about Okada, so
yeah, he said something about he would be good. He'd be good here.
He would be great.
I made a joke yesterday, and it was funny. If this was the Vince days, he would be the weatherman Kaz Okuna, is what they call him. But in their defense, though, they didn't change Nakamura's name.
No, they didn't.
They changed Kenta's name, though, to Tommy.
Well, AJ Styles said that they were going to change his name, but he had it tattooed on the side of his ribs.
Oh, yeah.
AJ, so he kind of saved himself there.
Yeah, that's I see many sides, but Okada trademarked Rainmaker and Okada name. He trademarked all that, so he owns it.
I could see him. I mean, how do you not let him be the Rainmaker? Could you imagine him coming out at WrestleMania and they drop the dollars like they do in those souvenir dollars that they put him on?
Oh yeah. Well, here's the thing: is if you want to debut Okada in WWE, where the most fans know who he is, Philly's the town to do it in. Philly or Chicago. I mean, y'all know how Philly fans are. They're brutal. They're ruthless, but they know who everybody is.
Yeah. Well, Mac,
especially he won the title at G1 Supercard in Madison Square Garden. It's so close. So I mean, that area is the area that you would want him to debut in.
Definitely. I'm super excited as a fan, and I appreciate you jumping on here with me after that. I wasn't sure when I started watching tonight what we were going to how much we were going to have to talk about. But good Lord, they brought it. That hype show was tremendous. And we didn't even fail to mention that WWE Speed is going to be a new show on X, formerly known as Twitter. They're going to have several matches that they're like 5-minute. They're going to be like 5-minute shows featuring.
Really?
And it's going to be new content matches exclusively on X, and it's going to be called WWE Speed. They announced
wow.
that. They had that at the top of the press conference.
I missed that part.
I was like, wow, how about that? Because that's the news that was a little piece of news that came out of it. And I keep calling it a press conference, even though it really wasn't. But that was good, and I'd like to see them do more of this. I'd like to see it.
I'd like to see more of these than the scrums after the show.
Yeah. I mean, WWE does their scrums pretty good because they understand that you should work them. But I would like to see these kind of shows for your big four, for at least doing it for your big four pay-per-views. Because to me, the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, Survivor Series, and SummerSlam are your big four. And that would be something.
Indeed.
Do we have a Saudi Arabia show before WrestleMania?
Yeah, actually, I think sometime in March, I think. And Wally just texted me this, and this is just, I'm going to throw this out there. It says, has anybody heard anything about MJF?
It's been silent.
I know.
It's been silent. I thought about that earlier today, that they've had so much going on with Swerve and Hangman and the Bucks attacking Sting and Darby and Sting's kids. And they've had all that, and they've had so much going on the show with their content that they've been able to just completely ignore MJF. And
you know, nobody's really sure. Did he sign an extension? Is he a free agent? I don't care what he says. You know, he says that he 100% didn't sign. But who knows? Wrestling, everything's a work.
And right now, there's so much going on that I think he'd get lost in the sauce a bit. And also, and if I'm him, and let's say that he is in a position where he's trying to decide where he's going to go, I believe I would wait this out just a little bit to see what's going to shake out in WWE as far as creative wise, because the people that you've been saying are real high on you, let's make sure they're still going to be there. Because I mean, you still got the ugliness going on. It hadn't gone away, and we don't know how that's going to play out.
Right.
I mean, Conrad Thompson said it, that we're wondering if The Rock is the equivalent to Shaquille O'Neal at Papa John's. You know, he's in here doing damage control, trying to help rebuild an image.
Do you see Scott D'Amore going to AEW or WWE sometime? He's got good relationships with both.
Yeah. Man, if Tony Khan wanted a great wrestling mind, those are the type of people he should surround himself with. Because if he's doing all the booking, it could be better. And man, if I was him, I'd be on the phone. Well, we know before he started, he was on the phone with Cornette, but I'd have been on the phone with Cornette every week. If I was gonna start a wrestling promotion tomorrow, if Scott D'Amore is available, I want Scott D'Amore. If I'd be on the phone. If Cornette doesn't want to come in and work, I'd be on the phone with him. I'd be paying him as a consultant just to, you know, he could give me a little time every week on Zoom. He don't have to come to the office. And I mean, you got Arn Anderson out there, you got Tully Blanchard out there. I mean, you got so many people that you could learn from. And I mean, you know that in wrestling, you never quit learning. Never. So, and hey, I'm gonna give AEW props too, since you brought them up. I think using the time limit draw with Hangman and Swerve was, I think that's good. That's a good booking tool.
Oh yeah,
and then you make it a three-way dance, and Joe is upset because now you're out to get him. But so often they have the time limit, and then you watch them and they force the go home to beat the clock when it would never hurt. It never hurts to go to a time limit draw on some of those matches. I would rather have them finish the time limit draw more often than you seeing them rush to get that finish in. Like, okay, there's only 1 minute left. Oh, here it comes. And then sometimes it looks like that they waited too long to start to go home and they had to go home. When I don't think I don't think a time limit draw is a bad thing. I also don't think that having the match start and you don't get a finish on it. Hey, Tony Schiavone. We're desperately out of time. The tape machines are rolling, and go off the air with the. I mean, that you don't have to see it unless or maybe you could put it online as bonus content. You could go online and pick up where you left off and watch the end of the match. If giving everybody a finish every week is important to you, but I couldn't. I would not care if I didn't get to see the end of a match. Or maybe you open up the next week. This is what happened in the closing moments last week, and then you see the end of the match a week later. But it's not like you can't utilize your social media, because getting that kind of content out there, or maybe it's an Honor Club exclusive. You put the rest of that match, put the whole match on Honor Club, where you can see the finish, to try to drive some business towards Honor Club, if that's what they're calling it, you know.
But you know, so many people have camera phones. It's on Facebook 5 minutes later.
Yeah, I actually got a different camera angle of the Swerve Hangman ending. Text to me. It was, but I mean, the guy was just trying to show me how good his seats were. Well, all right, Mike. Thank you so much for joining me on short notice. This was fun. Hopefully, we can do this again.
All right. Thanks for having me.
I'm wanting to do more wrap ups occasionally. Just hop on and recap what we just saw, or talk about it and fantasy book it, and I'm proud. But I'm proud tonight that we had something to cheer about, because too often it's easy to come on and crap on things.
More questions came about. I like it.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued, and I mean, I'm gonna give the WrestleMania 40 kickoff show. I'm gonna rate it 5 jars. It got the job done tonight. 5 jar performance from WWE TKO Endeavor. So for Mike Page, I'm Palmwater Dave. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time. Good night.
Take care, everybody.